I finally boiled these down into what I call Ramits money rules. Always have 1 year of emergency fund cash. Okay, fine. You could make it 6 months or a year, whatever. But here's another one. Never question spending money on books, appetizers, health, or donating to a friend's charity fundraiser. Each of those is very meaningful to me because I didn't grow up being able to afford appetizers. So now if I eat out with a friend or whoever, I say, look, whatever you like on the menu, just order it. And that feels amazing. What does it cost me? An extra 20 bucks? But it feels incredible. And then there's some really big ones. Anytime I take a flight over 4 hours, business class, or be able to pay in full for large expenses, including a wedding, dream honeymoon, or even a house. Those are really big, rich life dreams and rules. What I would challenge each person as they think about their rich life is, I would love for them to say, every week, I love fresh flowers. It feels a little indulgent to me, but it just makes me feel so good. And so I'm gonna buy fresh flowers for myself every week. Beautiful.
Need motivation?
Watch your top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because in my first business, I quit on my business partner. I was making $300 a month, and I didn't have the motivation to keep going. And the thing that got me through was studying the stories of entrepreneurs who've had massive success. And I hope that in sharing these stories with you, you find a motivation to keep going. And if I'm being honest, I still need the stories for myself today too. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Ramit Sethi, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Rule number 2, aim for a rich life.
I'll tell you what, I think that, you remember the book, The Emperor Has No Clothes? Yeah. I remember learning about money while I was studying human behavior and psychology. And I remember a moment where I said, the emperor has no clothes. All this advice that people give us about money, like cut back on lattes. I intuitively just said, I don't want to do that. I don't want to live a life where I'm cutting back on $3 expenses and tracking every single penny for my entire life.
Like on a budget.
Yeah, and like living a life of scarcity. Oh, I can't spend money on lattes, I can't go out, I just got to go in a cave and save money for 80 years. And maybe I can live like that. I didn't want to live like that. And I looked around and none of my friends did either. And here we are, beautiful Manhattan. A lot of people here don't want to live like that. So I wanted to live in a way that allowed me to say, I want to go out and buy a round of drinks for my friends. I want to spend on the things I love, and I don't want to be sitting there typing in Excel every single day for 3 hours. My rich life is to set up my systems, automate them so that they run beautifully, and then get off my chair and live outside the spreadsheet. That's my rich life. And so I started integrating psychology and money, and it grew, and now it's got millions of readers, and here I am.
Rule number 3, set the dream you want.
This is more the art of it. The art of it is setting dreams that are things you actually want. And a rich life, let me tell you what a rich life is. A rich life can be picking up your daughter from school every day at 3 p.m. That could be a rich life for you. A rich life could be buying a $1,500 coat. A rich life could be traveling 2 months a year. Money matters, of course. Money is a small but important part of a rich life. But if you ask people listening right now, what is your rich life? You'll often find that they haven't really thought about it. It's too intimidating, it's too scary, and deep down they don't believe they can achieve it. So they say words like travel, and I want to get healthier, and I'd like to clean my garage out. All fine. You should probably clean your garage out. I've seen some of these garages. They're absolutely atrocious. Okay.
Don't look at mine, dude. Don't look at mine.
Yeah, no judging. However, when it comes to money, so much of it is negative. People think about money. They've been warned of all the things that can go wrong. Oh, you better increase your savings rate. Ooh, don't do this. And what I'm here to talk about is what you can do with your money. Why money should be a source of joy and adventure and memorability. That is much more inspiring and much more likely to cause a real change in your life.
Rule number 4, understand your expenses.
I teach people how to negotiate their salaries and how to negotiate fees from their credit cards and bank accounts. So rent is just a natural one because for most people, rent is their largest single expense. It's a high leverage point. And this is just a typical way that Americans believe that they simply have to accept what's handed to them, right? Oh, my bank leveraged a $37 late fee on them. Well, your bank works for you. Why don't you call them up and ask for them to negotiate that? And they will. Chapter 1 of my book. Well, I did the same thing with rent.
you don't simply accept a rent increase. You want to understand the context around it. So my building was quite aggressive. They would always try to raise rent. Of course they would. It's a capitalist system. Of course they're going to try to maximize their profit. I get that. No hard feelings, but you need to know that I'm going to maximize my opportunity as well. So I would always have my eye on articles on New York City rent. And I would just file them away. I would tag them. And then when time came for my lease, we'd have a meeting. And they would say something like, we want to raise your rent X dollars. And I would say, so first I would understand the power dynamic. At a time like this right now, tenants have very low power. Okay, very low. So you try to negotiate your rent, you have low power because there's a housing shortage and there's more demand. That's why prices are going up. Simple supply and demand. Sometimes, especially during the 10 plus years I lived in New York, prices were going down. So I would go in there and I would use my briefcase technique. And that is a whole procedure of how you can present to clients or a boss and you can negotiate $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 raises. And I would say, I appreciate you. Tell me where you came up with that number. And they would give me some bullshit. And I would say, okay, thanks. Now let me show you my research. And I would show them that the comps in the neighborhood were down 6% sometimes or flat. And I would say, so that rent increase isn't going to work for me. In fact, I would like to discuss a decrease. Now, landlords will almost never decrease your rent. They play lots of games. If they decrease it, it has to show. So what they would do instead, they would say, we'll give you a couple of months free. I said, great, I will take it. And of course, I took that money and I flowed it through my Chapter 5 automation system. Some of it got invested, some of it got saved, and some of it got spent on guilt-free spending. Over 10 years, this is going to shock people. Over 10 years, I essentially paid the same amount in rent at the beginning and at the end. Let me say that again.
That's incredible.
It's crazy. My rent went up and down. And that is how rent works. Everybody listen, rent does not just go up. Rent is subject to the laws of supply and demand, just like chicken.
Yep.
So if chicken prices go up and down and gas prices go up and down, so does housing. The key is you have to ask.
Right.
My rent went up sometimes and I accepted it. I would try, but negotiation is a dance. And sometimes it stayed flat and that was fine.
Right.
And sometimes it went down and I took the win. Over the course of 10 years, it went up and down, but essentially it ended up with a slight increase, basically flat.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there. Rule number 5, change your environment.
What kind of people do I want to surround myself? Notice I'm not even at the point of recommending specific people to follow. That's way later. What do I want to follow? And you might...
And these, by the way, Ramit, not to cut you off, but I'm also thinking these are phenomenal values-based conversations for couples to have, right? I mean, if you're planning with anybody this year, holy crap, is this a phenomenal dinner with wine conversation? If it's Cheryl and I, this is powerful stuff.
Totally. It's so much richer when you can bring in your loved ones to this conversation. And it's such a beautiful thing to be able to say, you know what? I realize that I think I need to make a change. And my dream would be that you come along with me and we do this as partners, but I really need your help. Oh my God. Has your spouse or your partner ever heard you say that? Wow, that's so incredibly connective. So you start making a list of what you do want to surround yourself with. And I think this is where people feel ashamed. They might, for me, I want to surround myself with beautiful things. I like beauty and I like simplicity. So I'm looking at, like a Japanese monastery. I want pictures of that when I open up certain places that I follow. I want beautiful design, handmade pottery. Now, for a lot of people, that feels shameful to say. It feels kind of frivolous. I don't care. That's what I want. For you, it might be, I want to improve my fitness, or I want to become more adventurous and spontaneous. Awesome. Now you've written these values down. And finally, step 3 is you can go out and seek some of those people out. That's how I would do it.
Rule number 6, envision your rich life.
You know what? Every time I ask people their rich life and I probe, their first answers are never what we ultimately settle on. But as we start talking about it, and we spend a lot of time really probing and pushing, why that? Well, what if you dreamed a little bigger? And they also smile the whole time, because no one has ever asked them, what is your rich life? And really asked them why. Never. So usually if it's something like a handbag, right? Something tangible, most people start off by saying like this, well, I know, I guess I'd like a purse. It doesn't have to be like the fanciest purse, but I'd like this handbag, and like maybe once every decade, it could be like a nice one. And I go, what if it was every year? And what if it was that brand, the most beautiful version of it? And their eyes light up, because no one has ever talked to them about the thing that deep down they love, what I call their money dial. Instead, it's kind of seen as frivolous, particularly things like handbags, which I don't agree with. I think you could buy a beautiful handbag for the craftsmanship, for the functionality, or just because you want it.
For those people who can't see Ramit right now, he's winking at me. So I know what to get you for Christmas.
Thank you very much.
Please continue.
And, I'm hoping as I'm asking these questions that their partner is seeing and can model this, because you'll usually find that when one partner is nervous because they think that it's frivolous, that there's a reason for that their partner has said something multiple times in the past, like, well, why do you don't need a handbag like that. You don't need that kind of car. And yeah, you don't need it. But we're here talking about your rich life to start. We're going to get to the spreadsheet stuff. We're going to get to your spending plan. But let's just start off with your vision of what a rich life is. That is exciting.
Rule number 7, model success.
The first thing you can do is this is a really hard exercise, because you have to examine inside. And people find it very hard to examine what is invisible to themselves. So what I like to do is to recommend they look at somebody else who they admire and is successful. Let's take you. So we're talking about Jim. What does Jim do that is different than what I do? And then we dig deeper. Why does he do it? Why did Jim move from the West Coast to the East Coast? Now, I don't know. I'm just analyzing this, but I can come up with 3 reasons, and I'm probably within 80% accuracy. Why does Jim wear this t-shirt? Why does he dress this way? Where does he eat? Now, of course, you might not know what Jim does on a day-to-day basis, but you might pick someone in your community. And when you start to do that, you go from a place of what I call disparagement to curiosity. This is a critical thing. It's really easy for people to disparage someone. I used to do it when I was in my early 20s. I would walk on a plane. All the people were sitting in business class. I'd walk past them to the back.
And you judge.
I would totally judge them.
Yeah, it's like, why would they spend all that extra money 3 times as much?
For what? We're all getting to the same place. Ha, they're so stupid. It's very funny how in our puritanical society, people feel superior because they save more money or because they don't spend as much. When in reality, instead of disparaging other people who maybe eat at a nice restaurant or take a certain type of trip, it would be much better to say, why do they do that? If they can afford to be sitting in business class, what's going on that would make them want to spend 3 or 4 times the price? What do they know that I don't know? And if I had done that in my 20s, I would have been way more open-minded. Instead, I was like, oh, so dumb. I felt superior. But that's not the right way to go. To bust your own invisible scripts, you got to be curious about why other people are doing what they do.
Rule number 8, manage your funds better.
My real question is not what kind of multifamily real estate you're going to buy. My question is, what are you going to do with your money? And if you can't answer that in a hypothetical scenario, then I guarantee you have no answer to what you're going to do with your own portfolio. Those people, this is what they're going to do. They're going to save. They're going to have an enviable savings rate, 30%, 40%. They're going to recalculate their Monte Carlo simulation 35 times a month. They're going to post about it on Fat Fire and other fire forums.
And they're going to judge everybody who has less than a 32% savings rate because, oh my God, financial literacy is out of control in America. And then they're going to move to Florida, get some leathery skin, and die. That's the life. That's it. And I say, where did you eat? Who did you take with you? Did you go skydiving once? Or did you buy a nice shirt? Something. Did you donate generously? Create a rule for yourself. I'm only donating 30%. Sorry, I'm only tipping 30% or higher. What are you going to do with your money? And the answers are very lackluster. I want to share one more example, Joe, because this one also drove me crazy.
Bring it, because you're not at all passionate about this, so bring it. I want to finally see some passion.
Yeah, I know. It's so there's this guy on a forum who is young. He's like 28 or 30 years old, and he has a huge net worth. It was something like $12 million. Okay, some guy sold a company or whatever. And his question was, where should I live to minimize taxes? Okay, now everybody just listen right now. First of all, I know that there are approximately 3 topics we can talk about where everyone's going to get mad, and also everyone doesn't know what they're talking about. Number 1 is taxes. Number 2 is tipping. Number 3 is the price of weddings. I've written about them all. Just Google Ramit Sethi and any of those words. So this guy's $12 million. Do you understand how much a 30-year-old is going to have if they have $12 million at that age? Hundreds of millions of dollars. You physically cannot spend that kind of money. It's impossible, okay? And he's optimizing for where he can minimize his taxes. Now, if the guy wants to live in Florida or Dallas, Texas, God bless. I love it. If that's your rich life, do it. I love it. But I know it's not. I know that this person who could live in any city in the world, that's not his rich life, because the first question he's asking is, how do I minimize my taxes? Now let's zoom out. I don't want to judge just this person for taxes, although I am. I want to talk about, why do we think this way? And the answer is, we only have one note that we all play, and that is, how little can I pay?
Rule number 9, enjoy your money.
It doesn't matter whether the amount is, $10,000 that you save or a much larger amount. Invariably, if you've been saving and or investing for a while, you will ultimately have an amount where you have to decide what to do with it. And most of us spend our entire lives focusing on just the saving part. But I think probably every single one of us has a parent or a relative or somebody older than us who does not know how to enjoy their money. And they still drive around town to save money on gas. And you say, look, you've got enough. What are you going to do with it? And then ultimately, they will say something like, well, I guess I'll just give it to my kids. Your kids don't want the money. They want you to have a good life. They want you to spend it on the things you love. And so that's why I'm so passionate about this.
In fairness, some of the kids want the money. But a lot of kids also want their parents to have a great life.
Okay, I did not make an allowance for those people. They're like counting the clock. Oh, that's sad. So, I have found that you cannot tell people who struggle with spending money, hey guys, you really need to spend more money. It's just, it goes in one ear and out the other. It's not even a factor in their life. That's why I spend so much time saying, what's your rich life? It's very much like the same. You can't tell someone who loves chocolate cake, cut out the chocolate cake. Instead, we say, hey, let's add a little bit more delicious chicken. Let's add some really good asparagus. Yeah, you still want the chocolate cake, cool, but it's probably going to just naturally become a little bit less of a part on the plate. So when I talk about their rich life, when I understand the texture, the color, I don't want them to say travel. I want them to say, I'm going to Indonesia for 4 weeks with my beautiful wife. We're going to sit in seat 2A or 2D, and this is where we're going to stay, and this is what we're going to do, and we're even going to have a food tour, and we're going to do this and that. Now it's vivid enough that they get excited about it. I also use the stick where I say, okay, right now you're 38 years old. This was a couple that I spoke to, and I said, by my calculations, by the time you're in your 60s, you will have over $26 million. When are you going to start spending your money? And they looked at each other, and he goes, well, probably when I retire. And I just point blank said to him, I don't believe you. Do you believe him? And the wife said, no, I don't believe. Of course I don't believe him. He can't even spend his money right now. And so what I encouraged them and what I showed them was, would you rather end up at 60 with some amount of money, or would you rather end up at 60 with just a little bit less money, but a lifetime worth of experience? Ultimately, when I'm speaking to people like this who find it difficult, they're just afraid that they'll lose it all. And as I probed him, you know what he told me? His dad had lost all of his money late in life. So you often find these family challenges that they cannot escape from.
How did he lose his money? Do you remember? How did his dad lose the
It
money?
was in another country, and he made a series of bad investments and bad deals and lost it all. So they've constantly lived with this fear, as, by the way, all of us do, based on the cues we were raised with, that, you know, I could lose it all, or that I'll never be rich, or that the rich are all evil. And those are some of those invisible scripts that we have to work through if we want to work with our partner together towards a rich life.
And rule number 10, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is spend on what you love.
Dan Kennedy has this beautiful quote that I love. He says, "Why spend less when you can spend more?"
Why spend less when you can spend more?
It totally blows people's mind. But we all intuitively have an area where we just get it. If you have children, and I said to you, why don't you just optimize and get the cheapest baby food and the cheapest diet, they'd be like, this is crazy. So why is it different for ourselves? Why do we talk ourselves out of that? And that is the thing that I want people to do with Money Lenses, is to say, you know what, it's okay to just play with the concepts in your mind, and then when you find something you love, go and spend just once and see what it feels like. I had a woman I was speaking to yesterday. She said that when she took a trip to London recently, her first money lens was cost. And so she saved money. She got sort of these seats that were the cheapest. She got to the hotel. She was hungry. Everything was closed. She called downstairs, closed. So she remembers that trip being hungry, tired, cramped, all costs. The next time she took a trip, she started asking herself a question. What would it take to make this a spectacular experience? So she was using the experience money lens. Okay, she said it cost her a little bit more, like a couple $100 more, but this time she planned better. She spent 2 or 3 hours planning her seat. She had a list of restaurants ready to go. She got to her place, she was refreshed, she felt great, and now the whole memory of that second trip is, as she put it, spectacular. So it doesn't have to cost a lot, but you have to be intentional about what money lens you're using.
When you ask people, what's your rich life? They often give you very similar answers. I want to do what I want, when I want. Okay, that sounds pretty good. What do you want? And then people get very quiet. It's something we haven't really deeply thought about. Another common answer people give is, I want to travel. I think that's awesome. Where do you want to go? Somewhere in Europe. I want to know the details of your rich life. I want to know where you want to go, when, what airline seat you want to fly in, who you want to take with you, even where you want to eat. The details are what makes a rich life rich. I want to give you a couple of examples of how unique and personal a rich life can be to you. One of my readers told me that his goal was to retire in his 30s with his wife and to travel around the US in an RV. Now, that's not my rich life. I don't want to go anywhere near an RV. But I love and I admire that they designed their own rich life for themselves. My rich life's very different. When my wife and I decided that we wanted to travel more, we thought about what would make it magical. So for example, for our honeymoon, we went on a very long, extended honeymoon across the world. Started in Italy, brought our parents with us because that was a special thing for us. And then after Italy, our parents left, we continued on to Kenya on safari, India, and Thailand. At each place, making it our own. Staying in beautiful hotels because I love hotels. Also eating at local people's houses, going on food tours, things that made it unique and special for us. I share this with you because I want you to know that your rich life is yours. Your rich life could be picking up your son from school every day at 3 p.m. It could be buying a $1,000 cashmere sweater.
or it can be traveling for 3 months a year. There's no judgment here. Your rich life is yours. What I want to do is inspire you to think about the vivid details of your rich life and then to craft it, to design it, to make it yours so that your rich life fits you almost like a handmade glove. Let's add some context around your investment desires. I think that one of the mistakes that a lot of financial people make is they try to make everything about math. Hey, Tom, let me tell you all the reasons what you just said is wrong, and let's look at the return rates. And you might listen to me politely, but deep down you're like, I don't like what this guy's saying. Let's actually start with psychology, okay? What you just told me is, hey, I like gamification. I don't want to think about it, and I have a long, long time horizon. Okay, let's start there. Perfect. And you also said something really important, which is you like to create. That's what drives you. Just managing what you've got is not exciting. Are all those things accurate? All right. So here's what bad advice would be, and then here's, I think, what would be better advice. Bad advice would be, Tom, sell all that bullshit. It's all like crackpot stuff. Put it in a simple target date fund and get on with your life. Come on, Tom, that's what the investment returns say. And you're gonna be like, get the hell out of here. Better advice would be, hey, Tom, it sounds like you wanna have some control over your investments. It sounds like it actually drives you to see, at what price you're purchasing it, but it also sounds like you don't wanna think much about the basic mechanics. So why don't we do something like this? Why don't we take 90% of your portfolio and put it in low-cost funds and take 10% and say, this is total play money. In fact, you have to play with it or invest it or spend it in some way. And if it's gonna be on NFTs or Bitcoin or whatever, great. Suddenly now you have a real thesis, which is, this is long-term stuff. We kind of know the returns there, great. I'm gonna be safe no matter what happens, but I'm also going to be giving room for my psychology, my need and desire to track things and gamify it and play with it.
Many people, especially in America, are buying things that if you probed them why they're getting it, it boils down to, I want to feel good for a couple of hours.
Yeah. I want to spend money I don't have to buy things I don't need to impress people I don't even know.
Yeah. On the other hand, though, it's perfectly okay if you say to yourself, you know what? I really want that. Yes, get it. Let me show you how to even dream bigger. So I think for this person, what I'm willing to bet is that they are playing whack-a-mole with their money. So they wake up, they start the month, ooh, I'm motivated, I need to save some money, I really should do that. And then by the end, they're scrolling Instagram, they're reading their emails with links to stuff to buy, and they buy this and they buy that, and they don't even really care about it. I would rather have them sit down and say, you know what do I love? Stop dreaming small, dream big. I want a leather jacket, I'm gonna make this up. Maybe I could get a leather jacket from Gap. Dream bigger. Maybe you can get an even cooler leather jacket or something you really love. Okay, great. What's it going to take to get that? I'm going to need to save for X months, and I'm going to discipline myself by automating the money so I don't have to log in every day. And you're building this muscle of discipline, of automation. And at the end, the payoff is you get that thing you truly loved. What a lot of people might discover, which I think aligns a lot with the minimalist philosophy, is I didn't really even want this leather jacket.
Yes. And I think that's ultimately the message of minimalism is you probably don't want that.
And my message is maybe you did. And if you did, awesome. Now you know the work that it takes to get there, and now you can plan for something even bigger next time.
In my own life, there are several things I just don't care about. Don't have a TV. I use a MacBook Air that's 7 years old. I know, I should probably work off a dual monitor setup, but I just don't care. And I've lived in the same apartment for 10 years and I've rented, and I know the society tells you that renting is throwing money away. That's not true. These are things that I just don't care about. But on the other hand, convenience, I'll spend essentially anything. Hotels, I will spend essentially anything. And there's a few other examples. My wife and I together, we're coming up with our own money dials. Relationships is a big one for us. So I would encourage everyone to really take this concept and think about it. And don't stay at the surface level. If it's fitness like yours, Great. Really think about what that looks like. Another woman in DC, she was into fitness too. And I said, what would your life look like if you quadruple it? She's like, I would be shredded. I was like, love it. Think big. Don't talk yourself out of it. So that is what I've learned about money dials.
Really fast define a rich life for people, because I think that's going to be a key component to this whole discussion.
Well, it's different for everyone. My rich life early on was to be able to go to a restaurant and order appetizers. Because I never did it when I was a kid.
Get it.
Like ever. We would go and we'd eat out once every 4 to 6 weeks if we had a coupon. And we would like share 2 Cokes with the whole family. And we would never order appetizers. So I was like, I'm going to do it. And then the next dream for me was to be able to hop in a taxi if I lived in New York during the summer without having to take the train and sweat before a meeting. Now my dreams got bigger, and there's a variety of things that are my rich life, but everybody's is different. So some people, I have people in my book, they're like, I use your book, my wife and I retired at 35 and 36, we drive around in an RV. I don't want to drive around in an RV. But he and his wife do, and I love that. So a rich life is what you define. And when I ask people what's a rich life to you, they usually say 2 things. Freedom, which is a very nice word, but it's kind of generic. And they say a number, usually $1 million. And I say, like, freedom, what is that to you? And they're like, I want to do whatever I want when I want. And I'm like, get specific. Do you want to order appetizers? Do you want to do yoga at 3 p.m.? And that's where the conversation stops. So if you're watching, I want everyone to think, what is your rich life? And take it from the clouds to the street. I want to buy 3 different Lululemon tank tops a month because I don't ever want to have to wear an old one. Whatever, go as crazy as you want. I want to travel for a month and I want to bring my family with me. Great. A rich life is different for everyone, but is about your definition.
You're the CEO of your business. You decide. If you want to run a McDonald's type of business, awesome. McDonald's is an amazing company. If you want to run a Louis Vuitton style type of business where you're focusing on select customers, you can do that as well. Don't ever let anyone pressure you into one decision. You are the CEO and you decide.
I see tons of entrepreneurs. Their design is amazing. They have the best headshots. They get the coolest funnels. They just forgot one thing. They forgot to build something that people actually want. And so you can have the best photography, but if you are not solving a true problem that people are saying, take my money, please take it, then no amount of art is going to help you.
How does one become rich in an environment where there's 2% treasury rates and unemployment is high, it's difficult to get a job for a young person? How do you do that?
I think there's a few ways of looking at it. And the first thing I would consider, especially based on psychology, is to focus on the big wins, right? So the latte example is bad advice because 1, it doesn't work, and 2, it's minutia. Saving $2 or $3 a day doesn't really do anything in the grand scheme of things, and it makes us feel guilty, right? Instead, if we get these 5 or 10 big wins right, we never have to worry about lattes or the size of our Diet Coke ever again. For example, starting to invest early, getting your asset allocation right, not buying real estate simply because you think it's the best investment, like so many people believe. If you get these 5 or 10 big wins right, negotiating your salary, etc., you never have to worry about the little things.
So we grow up with these things I call invisible scripts. And these are the scripts that are beliefs that are so powerful, we don't even realize that they're around us. That's why they're invisible. So a classic one in America is the American dream is buying a house. Where did that come from? And in fact, there's all these phrases that people use like, you're throwing money away on rent. They don't make more land, and on and on and on. If you really deconstruct that and you actually run the numbers, you might discover that actually buying a house is often not the best investment. And this is super counterintuitive. People get really mad because real estate is religion in America. But if you actually dive in deep, you might discover, wow, there's a lot of parties who want me to spend a ton of money. That's why, for example, I could buy today, but I rent. And when people hear that, they're like, wait, I thought the I will teach you to be rich guy's rich, so why is he renting? They get very confused because real estate is religion. Another thing that is really common today for people is there's no way to get ahead, right? Especially for young people. Social Security won't be around, et cetera, et cetera. And I just don't believe in that. I think if you go onto Reddit or you go onto these places where it's a lot of people who are disaffected young people, they create an echo chamber of other people who want to victimize themselves. then you have a choice. Do you want to be reading those threads? Or, like, I was reading the comments on your YouTube videos. I was like, these are the best YouTube comments I've ever seen. People are positive, constructive. They're pointing out things they saw in the 32nd minute of the video, meaning they actually watched the whole thing. Those are the kind of people that I want people to be around. So it's not impossible to make money. There's actually a lot of people making money. It's not impossible to get ahead, pay off debt, even invest and grow. There's a lot of people doing it. But if you're surrounded by people who constantly complain about how difficult it is and it's impossible, guess what? You're going to absorb those invisible scripts.
Sometimes I learned that people just aren't ready to buy, and that's just the way it goes. Like, we had people that have been on our list for 6 years. They've seen some of these products be launched like 7, 14 times, and then one day they'll just buy randomly. And I see it come across my dashboard. I'm like, what is this? So I'll email them. Hey, notice you've joined finally after 7 years. What's up? And they're like, they'll tell us the most interesting things. They'll be like, oh, well, I tried to do it on my own. It didn't work, so I'm finally ready. Or, oh, I paid off my debt, or just because. And so my key lesson from that was just to be patient. If you've put the right process into place, if you've selected the right customers, if you've built the best products, you have the best marketing, our philosophy is it's just a matter of time.
You will notice that a lot of these online entrepreneurs, what do they tend to brag about? Have you noticed? Number one, how much money they make.
Yes.
Number
how
two,
many subscribers.
How many subscribers. And number three, how big their team is. Have you ever noticed that? And also number four, how little they work. Oh, I make $1 million. I only work 2 days a year.
Yeah, give me a break.
Go F yourself. So you'll notice that we don't brag about how much money we make. We've mentioned a couple of times some remarkable results that we've generated, but we don't go around bragging about how much money we make. We don't brag about how many people we have. We don't brag about how little we work. I work a lot, and so does our team, and we love it. I would rather spend our time bragging about our students' results. And that's why you see us putting them front and center. We put their photos, we put their full links to their websites, we fly them into New York and do full case studies with them. Very expensive, but it's the right thing to do. I'd rather talk about how we took ordinary people, like the people watching, and help them build massively successful businesses, or learn how to cook, or lose weight, whatever. I'd rather talk about that than, oh, look how many people I have, and look at our budgets, and da-da-da-da.
Because you made it this far in a video, I want to celebrate you. Most people start and don't finish. Most people never actually follow through. Most people say they want something, but they don't ever do the work to actually get it. But you are different. You are special. Believe Nation, you made it here all the way to the end, and I love you. So as a special celebration, if you put a hashtag Believe down in the comments below on this video, I will showcase you and celebrate you somewhere on the screen in a future video because you are awesome. For 10 more amazing rules from Jaspreet Singh, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
There's the R word, recession. When people hear that, it gives them anxiety, fear, panic, makes people scared because they think of layoffs, companies going down. A couple things that I want to mention regarding that is the majority of people are very scared of